गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शञ्चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्षः सहस्रपात् स भूमिं विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठद्दशाङ्गुलं पुरुष ये वेदगं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यं उतामृतत्वस्येषानः यदन्नेनातिरोहति एतावानस्य महिमा अतोऽज्यायागश्च पूरुषः भूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतं दिवि त्रिपादूर्ध्वोदयेत् पुरुषः पादोऽस्येहा भवात् पुनः ततो विश्वं व्यक्रामत शासनानशने अभि तस्माद्विराडजायत विराजो अधिपूरुषः स जातो अत्यरिच्यत पश्याद्भूमिमथो पुरः यत्पुरुषेण हविषा देवा यज्ञमतन्वत वसन्तो अस्यासीदाज्यं ग्रीष्म यद्मः शरद्धविः सप्तास्यासन् परिधयः त्रिसप्तः समिधः कृताः देवा यद्यज्ञं तन्वानाः अबध्नन् पुरुषं पशुं तं यज्ञं बर्हिषि प्रोक्षन् पुरुषं जातमग्रतः तेन देवा अयजन्त साध्या ऋषयश्च ये तस्माद्यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः पशुगस्तागश्चक्रे वायव्यान् आरण्यान् ग्राम्याश्च ये तस्माद्यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः ऋचः सामानि जग्निरे छन्दागंसि जग्निरे तस्मात् यजोस्तस्मादजायत तस्मादश्वा अजायन्त ये केचोभयादतः गावो हजग्निरे तस्मात् तस्माज्जाता अजावयः यत्पुरुषं व्यददुः कथिता व्यकल्पयन् मुखं किमस्य कौ बाहु कावूरूपादा उच्येते ब्राह्मणोऽस्य मुखमासीत् बाहुराजन्यः कृतः ऊरू तदस्य यद्वैश्यः पद्भ्यागं शूद्रो अजायत चन्द्रमा मनसो जातः चक्षुः सूर्यो अजायत मुखादिन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च प्राणाद्वायुरजायत नाभ्या आसीदन्तरिक्षं शीर्ष्णोद्यौ समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भूमिर्दिशश्रोत्रात् तथा लोकागम अकल्पयन् वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तु पारे सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वाभिवदन्यदास्ते धाता पुरस्ताद्यमुदा जहार शक्रः प्रविद्वान् प्रदिशश्च तस्रः तमेवं विद्वानमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था अयनाय विद्यते यज्ञेन यज्ञमयजन्त देवाः तानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यासन् ते हनाकं महिमानः सचन्ते यत्र पूर्वे साध्याः सन्ति देवाः अद्य सम्भूतः पृथिव्यैरसाच्च विश्वकर्मणः समवर्तताधि तस्य त्वष्टा विदधद्रूपमेति तत्पुरुषस्य विश्वमाजानमग्रे वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात् तमेवं विद्वानमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनाय प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तः बहुधा विजायते तस्य धीराः परिजानन्ति योनिं मरीचीनां पदमिच्छन्ति वेधसः यो देवेभ्य आतपति यो देवानां पुरोहितः पूर्वो यो देवेभ्यो जातः नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मये रचं ब्राह्मं जनयन्तः देवा अग्रे तदब्रुवन् यस्त्वैवं ब्राह्मणो विद्यात् तस्य देवा असन्वशे ह्रीश्च ते लक्ष्मीश्च पत्न्यौ अहोरात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनौ व्यात्तम् इष्टं मनिषाण अमुं मनिषाण सर्वं मनिषाण ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। After the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra were born, what were the next that were born? That is said in the 14th part, 14th verse. Chandrama manaso jataha chaksho suryo ajayata mukhadindraschagnischa pranad vayurajayata. Of that Virata Purusha, having performed that supreme yajna, total sacrifice, Chandrama manaso jataha chakshoho suryo ajayata. Chandrama manasaha jataha chakshoho suryo ajayata. Suryaha chaksha rupena ajayata. How do we perceive light or absence of light, forms or absence of forms? Through our eyes. It is in the presence of the light that we perceive the forms and cognize the forms. So it is quite natural that in that Virata Rupa, the eyes of that Virata Rupa was Surya. Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. So of that Virata Rupa, the Surya became the eyes, illumining factor, that which would illumine the whole creation. And the totality of mind was born totality of the mind was born in the moon. And there seems to be quite a relation, beautiful relation between the individual mind and the moon. See, the moon, like in fact every planetary motion has got certain effect on the living creatures. On the whole system it has an effect. Between the gravitational force, between the centripetal and centrifugal forces, there is a nice balance that is being maintained, that this whole universe is functioning very beautiful. Especially when we look at the effects of the moon, it is observed that on a full moon day, or rather full moon night, you will find that the tides are the highest, high tides. And similarly, you will find that there is a lot of turbulence in the waters on the new moon day. So it has been quite drastically observed that the moon and its waning and waxing, that's what they call it, right? Waning and waxing of that moon has a direct influence on the mind. If somebody is, for no reason, don't get carried away that it is hyper, or it is enthusiasm, highly motivated. No, it is hyper. If somebody without reason is hyper, check the calendar. Must have been on a full moon day. Or somebody without reason feels very low, depressing, low. There must have been a new moon day. And this kind of a relation is quite evident if ever you go to devi temples, more so in Kerala. There is one temple called, very near to our Ernakulam, very near to that, Chotanikare. In that temple, okay, let me caution you, word of caution. If you go there, you should have a brave heart. Meaning, things that happen there might shock you. Even Ripley's Believe It or Not will faint there. And they do all kind of weird things because the mind is totally out of control. To bring that mind in control, and when do they find this kind of weird patterns of the mind on the highs is on a full moon day. Because of the direct relation of the moon. How can something which is so distant like the moon have an effect on our mind? Is it a mere coincidence? Or is there something really happening? Like we see the effect of moon, a full moon on the waters in the ocean. Similarly, human body, 90% of it is nothing but water. सर हिला के देख लीजिए. And what is in here is also huge mass of water. And that water seemed to be under huge influence of these different motions of the planets, different motions of the planetary objects, especially so of the moon. So of the totality mind of the Virata was born the moon. Chandrama manasaha jataha. And if you have read Tattva Bodha also where Adi Shankaracharya ji puts it, he says that the mind when it was created from the essence of the moon. So the totality mind reflects in the moon form, and the moon has an influence on the individual mind form. There are two parts, a little subtler. Now these are some, see, there is another reason why texts like Vedic texts like Purusha Sukta seems beyond grasp is because they are facts. and they are not talking of any logic. So there is nothing to prove here. So one of the things that we can understand here is there are two paths that the soul, the spirit, Jivatma, takes after leaving or abandoning this body. One is called the Surya, and the other one is called the Chandra. The path of sun is called the Uttara Disha. The path of the sun is called Uttara Disha, which has got nothing to do with sun's rising and setting. But it means Ut meaning higher, Tara, Tarati, that which takes you beyond to that place wherein you don't need to come back again into samsara. So that is called path of Surya. This path of Surya takes this Jivatma to different worlds of the upasana that the Jivatma has performed. Either to the Pitraloka, or to the Brahmaloka, or to the Satyaloka, Tapoloka, or the individual format of God that Jivatma has performed puja of, goes to that particular loka. Now what are these loka to be understood as? Let me put it in a very simple term. A huge multi-rise building. Consider that as Swarga. Each floor is considered as one loka. The worshippers of Krishna, Goloka. It's not English, it is Sanskrit. Goloka. The first time I was watching a basketball game, I had gone to the stadium. I was watching that American Airlines Center. So I was watching the game there, and they were saying, "Go Mavs, go!" I said, "Kyun bhaga rahe hain unko?" Like, in my head, coming from India, I would understand go means get out. What they remove, cut short is go, get it. So it is not that go. Go means the loka of Krishna. The Brahma loka is of the worshippers of Nirguna Nirakara. And those who worship Lord Shiva go to Kailasha, one of the floors. And those who worship Devi, they go to that particular loka. And different lokas, different layers in that Swarga. So these people take that Surya path, the path of the sun, which is called the Uttara. And those who are not firm in their upasana, not firm in their contemplation and meditation, may have to come back into this world after having gone through good experiences of hell and heaven. And which is the direction for the hell? It is called Dakshina. Remember, I think when we were doing Sundarakanda. In Sundarakanda also, the Trijata tells about her dream that Ravana is shaven and is sitting on a donkey, is naked, and then his arms are cut, and he is going in the southern direction, Dakshina Disha. So Dakshina meaning that which is, Kshina, that which is like, removing, that which depletes your energy. So that is a Dakshina Disha. So Dakshina Disha, first you come across hell. The route, the first stop is called hell. Is it that you can cling on to the transport system there? No, it is emptied, shaken and emptied. Everybody is thrown there. And if there's somebody who has lived amazingly beautiful life of committing no sin at all, there is a bypass. The highway takes a bypass which goes directly to Swarga. Now how do we know logically this is all true? Only by two methods. Either believe what the Shastra is saying, or I wouldn't give that kind of an advice of experience it. When I experience it and come back to share my experience, don't get scared. अभी आया हूँ, परसों ही तो गए थे. Don't get scared then. We take the face value and whatever Shastra is saying must have been true. Because this comes in Prashnopanishad, this comes in Aitriyopanishad, this comes in Purusha Sukta also. So the Dakshina Marga. Now all these Jivatmas who have taken into that Dakshina Marga, which is the Marga of the moon, they come back into this world, into different formats. And how do they come into this world? The coming back of the Jiva, back into the soul, enlivening as though getting into the food system, cycle system, through two methods. That was also very deeply discussed in the chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Parjanya is the word used there. Parjanya, there is a cycle explained, and that cycle Parjanya meaning Parijanayati. Parijanayati, that because of which everything gets enlivened. What is it? It is called the rains. So with the droplets falling, the Jivatma reaches. That is one method. The second method that the Jivatma reaches back into this, from the subtler world into the grosser earth, this plane of experience, is through the moonlight. So they slide, surf through the moonlight and reach. Now both waters, the rain and the moonlight, are the nourishment for the plant kingdom. Both are the nourishment for the plant kingdom through which the Jivatma enters. And when this totality merges back in Pralaya, don't take it too seriously. There are some FYI or FYKI for your kind information details. Because this has to be only experienced. Logically, there is no kind of a logical system that can be proved. So talking of this Jivas, when the totality gets merged in Pralaya, meaning at the supreme stage what is happening, that thought of creation which he was entertaining, that thought of creation which that supreme was entertaining, he snapped. He stopped. He put on a pause. Chalo, enough of this. Now let me go and have a cup of tea. This is what the supreme thinks. गरम चाय हो जाए. Then Narayana's eternal companion, Lakshmi, पकोड़े बनाओ. नहीं, मैं अमेरिका में आया हूँ, ब्लैक टी काफी है. So probably when Lakshmi ji asks, today I add sugar, no, it increases diabetes. I am watching my health. So Narayana takes a break from the thought process. So what happens to that thought? It merges back into that supreme, meaning it becomes unmanifest. Whenever this creation, which at the supreme level is a thought, becomes unmanifest, the whole of this creation becomes unmanifest, and that is called pralaya. Nothing to be so serious about it, because every day what we do is called laya. We fall asleep, right? In Sanskrit, that falling asleep is called falling into laya. Deep sleep. when you wake up next day in the morning, all that unfinished business of yours which you left yesterday, don't you start it again? Right from that pizza which you had not eaten and was in the fridge, you reheat it. Every silly little thing, you restart. Now what is this going into unmanifest mean? So these are lamps here. At the end of the lecture, they put it off. And if this would have happened in India, it would have been a scandalous thing. Diye bujhate ho? But then, in this country, it is lakshagraha that we live in. You know what is lakshagraha, right? Made of wax. Very highly inflammable wax. It's like it just catches fire. That kind of roofs these are. So for the fear of or protecting, for having that security, we turn them off. Now when you say you turn them off, what happens to that fire? Gone. And how do they shut it? They have that little thing which they cover it, so that all the carbon dioxide gets accumulated and then it gets extinguished. So the fire is gone. What do you exactly mean to say when the fire is gone? Its present format that you can see is gone. But does it mean that that particular candle will never light again? The answer is, it depends. If there is no fuel in it, no wax in it, so probably it will not burn again. But then if the wick and the fuel or that wax or oil is still there, you just have to create an environment for that fire to re-express. You can start with 2 stones. Have you ever tried it? Like when we had this chapter in our history textbook, Adi Manav. Adi Manav is the caveman. So they used to light fire with stones. So any 2 stones. They used to sit at night to see the spark and keep doing it. And I think it was once we could light something with it. But it took a lot of effort to light. So much of hangama. Get onto the terrace, a couple of friends sitting, and a couple of stones, and then we had this cotton, and that which was meant for the wicks for the Lord, so that we Stene-bhyo taskare-bhyo namo namaha. What do you call taskara is the right word. We took it away and then had the nariyal fiber on the top, and hand-picked the finest fiber in it and gathered it, twigs, leaves, and then start the whole night. And it catches fire. No. We wanted to be like the cavemen. Adi Manav. Why was I talking about the Adi Manav? Yeah, the light. So when you can light it with different methods. Whether with the lighter. Whether with the lighter or the matchstick or the stones. Anyway, the moment that kind of an environment is created, that which was unmanifest, the fire which went back to its nascent form, re-expresses, manifests itself. All this world is nothing but in our head, in our thought form. If that thought is not cognized, that part of the world is vanished. People when they have head injury, the head injury is dealt with. In medical terms, they are back to normal condition. But that part of the thoughts, which are there in the memory, is not cognized anymore. Maybe they'll start asking, who am I? And probably we will be the most happy people. You are asking the right question. Even Ramana Maharshi asked the same question. So the moment we wake up, we expand ourselves into the world that we create through our thoughts. When we sleep, what happens to our world? It goes back. Doesn't it? Now I know the kind of confused look that you are giving. Though I sleep, the world still is there, right? There are two parts of this world. One is called Isha Srishti, that which is created or that which is expressing as the expansion of that Supreme. Based on that, superimposing on that, I create a pseudo world of my own world. Everything, ye mera ilaka hai. This is my world. After a long time taking somebody, I think one of these streets, Davenport or Preston, so some kind of an accident or roadblock, and suddenly take this street, and then it was zigzagging through. We reached. And I saw you have learnt all the roads here. Ye mera ilaka hai. After a long time I use that word, mera ilaka hai. In typical Bombay language, apun ka adda hai. So this is my world, my place. So I create that, I expand that. And when I sleep, what happens? That my world goes back into seed form. And when you expand, when you wake up, you expand that my world. That is called Laya. In Pralaya, that creation as an expansion, which is nothing but in the thought form of that Supreme from his standpoint, is withdrawn. And when that regenerates itself, that thought of creation which was on a pause, starts playing again, all this which was withdrawn, the vasanas of the samashti, of each individual which forms into the samashti, have to be given their different fields for expression. Their fields for expression, Chandrama Manaso Jataha. From that totality mind came the Chandrama. Through that Chandrama, these individually start trickling down as individuals. Kab tak chalta rahega. The cycle keeps going on. It's a huge cycle. A big, unending cycle. There was a beautiful explanation given by one master that I recently met. He said it is all cyclic, but it is also spiral in nature. Meaning it goes round and round, but it goes, this whole time is in a spiral kind of a movement. It repeats itself, but it repeats in a totally different space, if need to use that word. Totally different science. We'll get into that sometime later. He was relating it to the quantum physics and talking. He says it is all in a spiral movement. So these vasanas gets expressed, and through this totality of vasanas comes the Chandrama. Chandrama manaso jataha, chaksho suryo ajayata, mukhad indraschagnischa. Of the face of that Virata Purusha came the fire. Now this fire, if not present, two things that the tongue does, the tongue will not be able to do. What does the tongue do? A two-in-one, right? Taste and talk. What happens when the tongue gets dehydrated? There will be no taste. That's what happens when we have fever. High fever. Even you eat a nimbu ka achar, it doesn't taste good. Especially in typhoid or malaria or some viral fevers where it is 105, 106. You can't taste it because it is dehydrated. That is for the taste. And as a speech, it is because of the fire that we speak. Probably that is why we call, and it is a very inspired speech. They say fiery speech. It's a very fiery speech. And somebody said, Aapki patni, like your wife, is a Chandramukhi. My wife is a Jwalamukhi. It's not just fiery speech, it is just a volcano. And you can observe if you ever get a chance to speak continuously for 1.5 hours, you will see that your body temperature has gone a bit higher. Not that it is fever, it is just because of that fire which is invoked. So from that Supreme's mouth came out the fire, one of the elements. Pranad vayurajayata. And when the Virata Purusha had inhaled and exhaled, that movement created Vayu. Through that inhalation and exhalation was created the movement of Vayu. So individually here we are breathing to make this system survive. For this whole system to survive, he inhales and exhales, purifies and breathes out, purifies, breathes out. A totally different system. Pranad vayurajayata, the vital airs are given out as the atmospheric air that we breathe in. Pranad vayurajayata. Continuing. Nabhya asid antariksham shirshnodyau samavartata padbhyam bhumirdisha shrotraat tatha lokagam akalpayan. Nabhya asid antariksham. Antariksham. Antariksham, space. Now why is space called antariksham? It's called the inner space. Space, two kinds, inner space. Nabhya asid antariksham. Of that Virata was this Nabhya, the Nabhi, in the mid section, the middle area, the stomach, the navel region, was the Antariksha, the inner space. Now with this inner space of that Virata, what was born? See, the inner space at this individual level are the four equipments. Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Four. Right. In the inner space, the inner equipments function. Similarly, in that Virata Purusha, in the inner space, which happens to be at the Nabhi, came out the Creator with four heads. Four facets, right? So four heads of that Brahma. Out came the Kamala, the lotus on whom the Brahmaji was seated. That is born out of the inner space. Now don't start imagining that in the Nabhi area there is suddenly a lotus coming out and there is seated. It's like inner space. That which is a creative urge which manages creation was born, which is an extension of this. Which when we read the introduction, Dhyana Shlokas of Vishnu Sahasranama, which gives out this complete detail. Bhuf Pado Yasya Nabhir Vyad Asuranilas Chandra Suryau Chanetre. The same kind of a concept repeated there. They are talking of this Virata Purusha there. Nabhyad Asid Antariksham Shirshnoho Dyauhu Samavartata. And from his head came the outer space. No wonder that when we replicate it here, the outer space here becomes a vacuum. The outer space, this whole Brahmand, this whole external world, external universe was born out of the head. Shirshna Udyos Samavartata. Padbhyam Bhumehi Disha Shrotrat. Of the feet were born the Prithvi. From the feet were born the Prithvi. Prithvi of, the feet of the Virata is this Prithvi. Meaning, when we chant in our regular pledge, when we say that we serve, serving the humanity is the service of the God of the gods. What do we mean? That this Prithvi is nothing but the feet of that Narayana, that Virata Purusha. Meaning, any particle, any part, any piece of this universe in this particular earth is nothing but the feet of that Virata. So where are you constantly if you are worshipping that Virata? मैं सेवक सचराचर रूप स्वामी भगवंत. Tulsidas ji puts it very beautifully. He says, मैं सेवक. Whose sevak are you? He says, रूप स्वामी भगवंत. Wherever I find the form of that God, Ishtadeva of my heart, wherever I find, I am a sevak for that form. Where do you find Sachara-achara? This whole earth, this whole world, full of chara and achara, animate and inanimate. I constantly worship that Supreme. If anybody comes in front of me, that is how life unfolds, my only attitude should be to serve. Instead of demanding, commanding, expecting, my only way to deal with it should be to serve. Even if you don't understand Purusha Suktham, goli maro. Okay, if you have not understood it, it's fine. But understand it this much, that this world is nothing but that Virata feet. Out of gratitude, where do we prostrate? To the feet of that Supreme. His feet, where is it? This whole earth is his feet. So whatever you interact with constantly is nothing but an interaction with that Supreme, worshipping his path. Instead of having this blinds of likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha, worship it in tuning yourself to that Supreme. See how your whole life changes. Provided that dirty ego of ours gives in. Chalo, theek hai, serve kar lo. But that dirty ego doesn't allow it. It needs perfect hammering, constant hammering. Or else it doesn't silence itself. Imagine there are 1,000 methods, millions of methods, wherein each interaction is nothing but an offering and serving, an opportunity given to us to tune in to serve that Supreme. Whether it is in the form of a flower, lectern, or a book, or a person, or an animal, or a creature, you worship with that attitude. If this be understood from Purusha Sukta, the Purusha Sukta has done its purpose. Padbhyam bhumihi dishaha shrotrat. The directions, the different directions were born from the ears of that Supreme. The directions were born through the ears. Now, if this kind of directions had to be born, for a long time, this was kind of a confusion for me, that through the ears, how can you have a direction? Very recently, like around 3 years or 4 years ago, I was reading this article on how the birds find their direction, how human beings find their direction, how do we balance ourselves. Like in the space when you are in a flight, the flight is taking off, taking down, you know which angle it is. What is that balance within ourselves, comparing to which we know what direction it is. There's something in the ears. There are some technical term starts with C. Okay, I could never pronounce it. Cochlea. Right. And there is this bone, little bone, this very tiny little bone, which has to be in that balance, which gives us the sense of direction. Then it clicked. Ab samajh mein aaya. Imagine, this was read 13 years ago and it clicks 4 years ago. Every time I used to read this, Shrotra, Disha, someone didn't make a match. After having understood that all direction sense is because of that balance which is in the ears, that we cognize any kind of directions, then it makes sense. From that, Virata Purusha's Shrotra, ears, were born the directions. How many directions? 10 directions. South, east, north, west. And then the intermediary directions, up and down, 10. Disha Shrotrat Tatha Lokagam Akalpayan. And then came the other worlds. How many worlds? There are 14 worlds, of which the 7th one, almost the middle one, is Earth. There are 7 on the top. And there are 7 below. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. They are the lower ones. Obviously, higher ones we normally classify them as Bhurbhusva. Satyaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, then Bhurbhusva. These are different 14 lokas that are there. Now what do these 14 different lokas mean? Different planes of conscious experience. Different parallel realms that it exists. And all these great sages and saints had their capacity to travel in between the lokas. Sure, there must have been one operator called Scotty. And they used to always say, beam me up, beam me down. Some way that they used to travel through these different planes of consciousness. Especially Narada. He is on a constant travel. You talk of globe-trotting? He trots around in all 14 Chaturdasha Bhuvanani. He just keeps running around, up and down. He never stays at one space any time. It was as a curse to him, given by Daksha Prajapati. So if you are at one place, you will create a lot of disturbance. You have spoiled my creation, my expansion plan 3 times. If you stay, it is going to create more havoc. I give you a shapa that you cannot stay in a place more than time required to milk a cow. In those days, they used to sit and do, not plugins. I really sympathize with those cows here. Chillate honge, chhod de wahe. No. The last drop is also sucked. How much of a time it takes to... Have you ever tried it? It's fun. It becomes fun to look at when it starts kicking. When you really have the art of milking the cow, it's fun. So he says, as long as that much time. So meaning, he travels with that kind of fast rapidity. He travels between these planes of consciousness. Is it there really? Okay, there are 2 questions I would ask. It depends on the answer that you give to these 2 questions. Whether these worlds exist or not. Are you real? I don't want an answer. Don't give me an answer. Think. Second. Sitting here, do we not indulge in the world that inside happening? You just might have had a cup of coffee and come here so that you could stay awake. And that coffee was so good. You are meditating on that coffee. Aham coffeeasmi. In that moment I am the form of coffee. Or, you can see that restlessness. You can definitely see that restlessness when you have something much more important after this. Especially on Sundays in the second session, you can see those parents who have to pick their kids to go to the Chinese math. Before going where, they have to pick a small lunch or something. Really swing by, grab and then munch on. That's how it functions. Right from 12:30 onwards, keep doing this step. And sometimes when I keep observing them, they feel little odd in that place and they leave 5 minutes before itself. If it is something preoccupying, don't we indulge in it? Meaning there is a seeming reality here that we are experiencing. At the same time, there is another reality that we are indulging in. Right? Similarly, at the conscious level, at the supreme level, there are 14 different worlds. 7 of which form Naraka, 7 of which form Swarga. A mixture of both as the impressions called vasanas. We are born in this human birth on this earth. Mixture of both.
Thoughts are different. You have a different world.
Which thoughts are you talking about? Whose thoughts?
Your mind travels to somebody else.
Are you not creating a different world of your own thoughts, wherein you indulge? Right? When you have to be here, you indulge in a different world that your thoughts have created. Similarly, parallelly, there are different states of consciousness. You raise yourself, your conscious level to that subtler levels, you start experiencing these things. Tatha lokagam akalpayan. So these different lokas were created. So there is a third way. One is the scriptural way. The second is Ram Nam Satya. Third method is you raise yourself to such a level wherein that is shown in Vishwamitra's life, that he crosses each stage and then reaches to that stage of Brahma Rishi, who has this capacity to travel intermediately between any kind of lokas. Tatha lokagam akalpayan. Now, having created all this, now the student who was listening tells the Rishi back. What does he say? Vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasastu pare sarvani rupani vichitya dhiraha namani krutva bhivadan yadaste. Abhivadan yad aste. Abhivadan, I prostrate, worship, salute. Whom? Veda aham purusham mahantam. I have understood mahantam purusham. Because we have heard three definitions of purusha. So that definition of purusha that this student has realized has to be specifically said. So what purusha are you talking about? Mahantam purusham. That purusha who is mahan, great purusha. I have realized that purusha. How is that purusha? Aditya varnam. Bright sun. How is it? What color is it? That golden, beautiful color, shining color, is that Virata Purusha, Aditya Varnam. Tamasaha tu pare, way beyond any kind of tamas, darkness, ignorance. Tamasastu pare. Sarvani rupani vichitya dhiraha. Sarvani, not a Sindhi name. Sarvani, meaning all rupani, all forms, having created them, vichitya, he enters into them. See, the moment the form is created, the nama also is created. And without this, namakarana, naming, we probably will end up not having any kind of relation then. Anything, it needs a name. Without that name, we are like in a suspended animation. We need that name for some clarity. You keep using it and you don't know the name of it, it keeps bugging you from within. Because that is how the data is collected. Form goes with the name. Name goes with the form. So having created this multiple, various, beautiful world, he as though exists functioning through all this world. To that Virata Purusha, in its complete manifest form, I prostrate. So where is that Virata Purusha? Three parts of the Supreme is not cognized by the human intellect. So don't struggle trying to grasp that. When you go beyond the mind, In fact, you are closest to that Supreme when you are asleep. I'm telling you the truth. You are closest to the Supreme when you are asleep. 5 layers. Remember the 5 layers? What is the most external layer? Annamaya. Then comes the Pranamaya. Then comes the Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. This Karana Sharira, why is it called Anandamaya? It could have been called Karanamaya. Because of which? Because of this ignorance that we are coming back into this world with firm ignorance. But why is it called Anandamaya? It is closest to the Ananda Tattva, reaching where the mind ceases to exist. I am happy, but I am not consciously happy. Meaning, if you can consciously sleep, if you can consciously sleep, I just got a call from LA. They wanted to have a talk on Sunday with the parents who come for the Balvihar. They wanted a topic. So we were discussing on so many different topics. It's something that I like, the organizers don't like, the organizers like, I am not liking it. So I'll go back and say art of sleeping. Doesn't it seem catchy? So we start with a bhajan which Guruji sings for as a lullaby to Lord Krishna. Alarave dularai. So we start with that bhajan that day. Beautiful. Art of sleeping. Consciously when we are asleep, meaning when you are asleep, what is it that is happening? No identification with the gross body. Mind and intellect cease to exist. The CMOS chip seems to be functioning so that you are aware of the time, which is in the memory. All these things are quite deeply embedded. When you wake up, you recognize it. But you cognize that experience of sleep as a memory, not as an experience. Right? But when you can disidentify from this physical gross aspect and from the mind and intellect level, you are aware, alert, yet not asleep. That happens in the seat of meditation. Wherein you are talking of the 3 quarters. What happens to the 1 quarter which is expressing as Virata Purusha? Till you reach there, how do you exhaust these present vasanas? As an attitude of service to that Virata Purusha, so that I can cleanse myself, because that which is expressing as this universe, unbranded by the mind, is the pure form of that Virata, and offering my complete services dedicated to that Supreme cleans me from within. Meaning 1 quarter you can still experience. In fact, wherever there is spellbinding beauty, what is the immediate response that happens inside? You see something really beautiful. What happens at that moment when you see something beautiful? It is speechless. Mind freezes. Like I was flying from Seattle, from here to Portland, And just as it was reaching Portland, normally I don't take window seats. That day it was all empty. So I happened to get a peek through. Huge, mountain, just full of snow, and it was sunset. Below there are clouds. The amazing part of Portland and Seattle are, when you enter the city, that is the last time you see the sun. When you exit the city, that is the time you see the sun again. As long as you're in the city, it is always covered by clouds. So it's all clouds below. Tearing apart through the clouds is a mountain, snow-capped mountain, completely white. You're going just above it. And the sunset just reflecting on that mountain. It was one of those moments. And the mind stops. Why does the mind stop? Whenever there is no branding of the mind or intellect equipment with likes and dislikes, raga dvesha, or branding them as good and bad, when you see something without an extra commentary, constantly there is some kind of chitter butter happening inside. Without that commentary with what you are experiencing, cognizing outside, meaning that layer of mind has been set aside for a while, what you experience is that true Virata Purusha. Imagine the children, not yet corrupted by so-called education, meaning younger than 3 years, 4 years old. Small little things, they're happy. Very, very small little things, they're happy. They see a butterfly, they're happy. They keep jumping, looking at that butterfly. They see a bird out in their portico, they're happy. Milk falls down, they're happy. Who is getting irritated? Mother or dad is getting irritated. But they are happy. Hai, gir gaya. I remember this because very recently I had gone to a house. So this kid, he is just like around 3.5, 4 years old. He is in kindergarten, or I think in kindergarten. So he was on a table, and while he was messily trying to use his fork and the knife to eat the pancake? Yeah, dosa jaisa hota hai. Pancake. He is trying to cut it, and with his hand, he is trying to cut it and pull, and that pull pushed something else. So the glass of milk fell down. Mother, who was flipping the pancakes, comes running. What did you do? So very sincerely, he picks that glass up again and then pushes it. Very sincerely. That is what happened. It was like, action replay. And she paused and said, what happened? Wait. That's what happened. And there was a beautiful smile on that kid's face. The mother was frowning at him. Stop! Because whatever was left in that glass was also spilled now. The kids don't have any kind of blinds inside. What they experience in their innocence is that truest form of the Virata. We with our blinds miss that Virata in this present moment as a presence. That is why in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord always insists on these different forms that he is expressing, which is his vibhuti, wherein recognizing which you can start immediately tuning onto that Supreme. This which he starts in 10th chapter was actually started in the 7th chapter. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi suryayoho. I am the rasa and the essence. How am I the essence? He starts explaining. Because of Arjuna's doubts, he postpones that topic to 10th chapter, which becomes the Vibhuti Yoga. That is the Virata form that we have to tune into. Namani kritva abhivadan yadaste. Then Dhata purastad yamuda jahara shakra pravidvan pradishaschatasraha tamevam vidvan amritaiha bhavati nanyah pantha ayanaya vidyate. Dhata purastad yamuda jahara. Purastad, earlier, him whom the Prajapati, the creators, proclaimed as the Virata Purusha. Shakraha pravidvan, Shakraha Indraha. Shakraha meaning, Shakra is the other name. Chakra alias Indra. It is other name for Indra. In the Vedic literature, you will find him referred to as Shakra. Shakra doesn't mean sugar. That is Sarkara. That is a different thing. Shakraha meaning it is Indra. Indra pravidvan pradishascha tasraha. He went around. Indra went around claiming that Virata and professing about that Virata in and through the beauty of this universe. That is what Indra did. Tameva vidvan amrita iha bhavati. Realizing that one alone in its completeness, meaning both immanent as well as the transcendental, one becomes amrita. That Virata which was claimed, which was worshipped even by the Prajapatis. Prajapatis, those who were given the in charge to further procreate this creation. Pati, boss of what? Praja. So one of the Prajapatis is Manu, who is of this particular period of the Yuga. He is Manu. This particular Kala Chakra is Manu. That is why we are all called Manava, Manushya. And what was his wife's name? His wife's name was Shatarupa. The one who expanded to become multiple various forms. Shatarupa. Shata doesn't mean only 100. Right? Multivarious forms that she expressed in. So those Prajapatis also. And this Manu is supposed to be the 14th Manu. There were earlier many who have raised to that post, that position of being a Manu. Even Indra is a post. All these gods are nothing but posts. These jivas who do lot of sukruta karma, they reach to the heavens to take up that positions. Or there have been these great masters who have been requested by the gods to take that particular post. So if you leave that post, you have to create somebody to take care of that in the next kalpa. Do you know who is going to be the next Brahma for next kalpa? Hanumanji. He is going to be next Brahmaji. So imagine, start worshipping Hanumanji. For one good reason. इस कल्प में नहीं हुआ था, अगले कल्प में. Because he is going to be Brahmaji, right? He'll remember you. Khas mehman. Oh, last kalpa they were all worshipping me, so special preferences to such people. Jao, ash karo. Ashwatthama is going to be Vyasa for the next kalpa. Yeah. So they will all start becoming the next kalpa. They'll take different posts. So Indra is a post, and then Brahma is a post. So these jivas who have raised themselves to such level become that. So all these manus, all these prajapatis who have proclaimed the greatness of that Virata, even Indra has proclaimed the greatness of that Virata, that he has gone around only spreading the word of that Virata. Indra also means Indriyanam Raja Indra. Of these Indriyas, Bahikarana and Antakarana, who is the Adhipati, who is the boss? Rather, let me put it there. Who is supposed to be the boss? Presently it is all a haywire system wherein nothing is functioning properly. But who is supposed to be the boss? Buddhi is supposed to be the boss. Of this imminent world, when you look at something spellbounding, who cognizes it? The Buddhi. The Buddhi cognizes something really rare, beautiful, awesome. So that which is cognized by the Buddhi, here Shakraha. Tam evam, knowing which alone, Vidwan, you become Vidwan. Meaning what? Till then, we are a Vidwan. No, I didn't say that. She said Murkha. No, I didn't say that. I was going to use a better word this time. A Vidwan. Not Vidwan. What is it? You can decide. Sa evam Vidwan. First thing. Second, Amrita iha bhavati. Meaning, one who cognizes both the immanent meaning this whole Vishala Virat Swarupa. Virat Swarupa now doesn't mean something other than this world. The moment you see something other than the world, that makes all confusion. This whole world in its expression itself is Virata. See, as a quick bird's eye view to remove any kinds of confusions, that Supreme has a trickling thought. Gets identified with that thought, becomes Ishvara. Brahman becomes Ishvara. Ishvara, when wants to now expand into multiple various forms, still in the thought form of the Ishvara. When does it become a gross form? Only at the individual level. Even for the Virata, it is still at the thought form. So that Ishvara, when cognizes the Ichha Jnana Kriya Shakti, as the Ichha becomes the creator, Kriya becomes the Rudra, and the Jnana becomes the Vishnu. This whole Ichha Jnana Kriya Shaktis expresses out. Having expressed out, in this between expressing and expressed, there is a little, two steps. One is called a Hiranyagarbha, conceptualizing. That which is conceived is expanded still at the unmanifest form. All thought is the unmanifest thought. Then becomes manifest, becomes the Virata. That is why the first name for Lord Narayana in Vishnu Sahasranama is what? Vishwam Vishnurva Shatkaro. That which is expanding as this Vishwa, that which is pervading this whole Vishwa, is that Vishnu. All pervasiveness is indicated through Vishnu. Or else when you chant that shloka for Ganeshji, Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Jasivarnam Chaturbhujam. So one of the teachers asked me, what is Vishnu doing here? Meaning that Ganesha who is all pervading. Vishnu means all pervasive. That which is everywhere, every minute details is nothing but that Supreme. Na anyaha pantha ayanaya vidyate. Without knowing this immanent and transcendental reality, one cannot proclaim themselves to be realized. There is no other way. Antar bahischa tat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitaha. This comes in the Narayana Suktham. Antaha bahihi. Bahihi, the immanent quality of that Virata. Antaha, that supreme nature of the self. When you cognize both, that is when is the completeness of realization. There is no other shortcut.
If we admit immanent, what happens will be automatic.
उतना आसान नहीं है. Or else why would they have been putting so much of effort? As long as you are seeing the immanent as something other than you. Even the form of the Lord that you are still worshipping is still worshipped with otherness. Meaning, I am something, you are really something. And I keep worshipping. As long as this separateness exists, though you have recognized the immanent, not cognizing the transcendental, still incomplete. There have been masters who have had darshan of God, darshan in the form, advised by the Lord Himself. They were sent to a master so that they can cognize the transcendental. Namdev, who was sent back to the, he used to talk, he used to converse with Vithala, he used to play with him daily. पता नहीं उन जमाने में गोलियां थे कि नहीं, वो भी खेला होगा. He was playing with him, he was his friend. But Vithala says, there's something that you have to now seriously go and pay attention to. Go get yourself trained by a master so that you can experience the transcendental. Immanent is fine, meaning both required. That separateness has to be gone.
If the separateness is gone, then the immanent is itself a function of the transcendental.
If. Right. That's a very big if clause. Path. The word path is taken from Sanskrit word pantha. The next mantra says, Yagnena yajnamaya janta devaha tani dharmani prathamanyasan te hanakam mahimanas sachante yatra purve sadhyas santi devaha yagnena yajnamaya janta devaha. Yagnena yajnam ayajanta devaha. Devaha, those who with the Virata, the different natural forces, different gods at that level of manifested world, performed this total sacrifice yajna. as an offering to that Supreme, in which they have offered the Virata also. That was the resource for them. They offered that Virata to that Supreme. That sacrifice of offering up of everything in that yajna spirit is even today considered as the greatest form of yajna. What is the greatest yajna? In the words of Lord Krishna himself, he says, Yajnanam Jnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna meaning in the clarity of knowledge. In the clarity of knowledge of the self, wherein everything else merges. Sarva dharmani parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. The other dharmas, when you drop them, parityajya, it's quite contradictory of what Lord Krishna speaks. He mixed two ends of statements and it makes a lot of hodgepodge of confusion. In the second chapter he says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karma you must do, cannot drop, he says. In the 18th chapter, he seems to change his mind and says, Sarva dharmani parityajya, drop all kinds of clinging attitude. He is very clear about what he is saying, and let us not confuse comparing these two statements. Dropping away all dharma, you still have to be doing your karma. Dharma of what? Dharma of the jivatva, drop it. Let the karma happen through you, without the kartratva and the bhoktratva. These different phases that the jiva takes up for its survival, drop those dharmas. Sarva dharmani parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. I use the innermost core of your being. Take refuge in that. Tani dharmani prathamanyasan. That is the dharma of the yajna. Or therefore, the yajna dharmas which are being done by those devas are considered as the highest of the dharma, wherein everything that you consider yourself as you is sacrificed. That is a total sacrifice yajna. I am this. You may be wrapping around, my name is, drop that also. All that you consider yourself as this, drop that. What is all this that I consider? Idam shariram kaunteya kshetra mityavidhiyate. Starting from the body, mind and intellect. We normally do this in a reverse order. Ending to body, mind and intellect. Because first we are all clinging on to the outside world, then having this is my security, my happiness, my bliss, my this, my that. So we have to drop that. They may still be around you. From your mind, erase, wipe out the last trace of you clinging on to them. Remove that out. Because offering yourself in this total sacrifice yajna is the highest sacrifice. You meaning the jivatva. Tani dharmani prathamanyasan. Then te iha Nakam mahimanam sachante. Then what you experience is called nakam. Not a Hindi word. Kam meaning sukham. Come again in Sanskrit. Kam meaning sukham. Akam meaning dukkham. That which is now double negated. Na akam meaning it negates both kam and akam. See, I have been desiring for this flower for a lot of days. I have been waiting for it. I get this flower. Come. I am feeling happy. How long is this flower going to live? Neither the one holding nor the one which is held is permanent. या तो ये टपकेगा या मैं टपकूंगा. Right? If this perishes, what happens? My source of sukham is gone. So what happens then? Dukkham. Right? I have it. As long as I have it, I have sukha. The moment it goes, dukkha. That which we are talking of as the supreme conscious state is neither happiness nor unhappiness or absence of happiness. It is beyond both these dualities, from where you can perceive the mind and its funny play of pretending to be happy or pretending to be sad. When you look at your own kids, इतना नाटक करते हैं, right? They pretend. They are very good at pretending, and they put on faces as though like, oh, I'm not happy. And suddenly they see something and they put on a face, I'm very happy. You who is observing know very well they are that happy or unhappy is to get something out of you. They are neither happy nor unhappy. They are very business minded. Similarly, the mind plays. What mind plays is happiness and misery. You, the conscious entity within, neither is happy nor is misery. It is of the supreme nature of bliss. Nakam meaning bliss. Te iha nakam, you experience that blissful state here and now. Mahimanas sachante, here and now you experience it. Yatra purve sadhyaha santi devaha. This is what was achieved in the very beginning of this creation by these devas. That they established themselves in that supreme reality. In the Rig Veda mantras, Purusha Suktham stops here. That is what Gurudev stops his, I think it stops here. Yeah, that is what the Rig Veda mantra says. But the other shakhas wherein we find the other, how many? 4 or 5? 24. It is from Adhya Sambhuta Prathivyerasa Acha Vishwakarmana Samavartatadhi till the last one. Hrischate Lakshmischa Patnyau Ahoratre Parshve Nakshatrani Rupam. I'll just give you a gist of it. A very brief description of it. Though it is out of syllabus. I'll just give you a synopsis of it. I'm not putting the question paper. So when you get the multiple choice, you can do inky pinky ponky and then decide ABCD. Adhyah sambhutah prithivye rasa acha vishwakarmana samavartatadhi tasya tvashta vidadhat rupameti tat purushasya vishwamajanam agre. This Virat Purusha manifests out of the all-pervading Adhyaha. Adhyaha has two meanings. One, water. And I think one day science will come to prove, wherein we say now that on the earth there is water, but as believed in the scriptures in the creation, in the waters is the earth, floating as though. So that sequence is beyond the grasp as of now. So probably one day it will be proven. But the other meaning of Adhya, Adhya meaning that which becomes this world wherein the consciousness is also the bhokta. Atti eats. Everything that is experienced because the presence of that consciousness. Have you ever seen something which is dead and then suddenly gets a pani la yaar, bahut pyas laga hai. No. Because that consciousness is not there which becomes the bhokta or which supports the bhokta as though. So adhyaha sambhutaha prithivyai rasacha, all that which was experienced in this world is experienced because of that Supreme. Vishwakarmana samavartatadhi. Of this Virata Purusha was born Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma here is not to be literally taken as the Vishwakarma, the architect of the Devaloka. Vishwakarma, the one who created, meaning the Prajapatis. Samavartatadhi, who took the support of this Supreme Virata Purusha. Tasya tvashta vidadhat rupameti. Vidadhat rupameti, taking this support of this Virata Purusha, the entire creation of 14 worlds and the expansion through these 14 worlds, not just 14 worlds, but the expansion within these 14 worlds, as though pervaded by that Supreme alone, nothing but that Supreme alone. Tat Purushasya Vishwamajanam Agre. There was nothing before this Supreme, meaning that Supreme alone exists, from which, through which we have this whole expansion of this universe. Vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat tameva vidvan amritam iha bhavati nanyah pantha vidyate yanaya. What is the difference between that statement we concluded and this statement we just read? It is not same. That is where people who are reading this Purusha Sukta get into a loop. Because they look so similar. Veda Havetam Purusham Mahantam. And they should have started with the Prajapatis Charati Garbhe Antaha. But then they go back. Dhata Purasta Adyamuda Jahara. And after like couple of rotations, kuch to gadbad hai. The difference here is Nanyah Pantha Vidyate Yanaya. There it was Nanyah Pantha Ayanaya Vidyate. That is the difference. There it is a statement made by the Guru saying there is no other path. Here the Shishya says, true. There is no other way other than recognizing both immanent and transcendent. And who can say it? The one who has had the experience of that Supreme. आपने जो बोला ठीक था, एकदम बरोबर निकला, एकदम the straight thing that you said worked out. There is no other second path. There is no other shortcut. प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तः अजायमानो बहुधा विजायते. Unborn still manifests as these many. Ajayamano, not born, but yet manifests as many. Prajapatis-charati garbhe antaha. Even the source of the Prajapatis is you alone. Tasya dhiraha parijananti yonim. The one who recognizes that source, yoni, of all this creation, that one single source, which is your own consciousness. Marichinam padam icchanti vedasaha. Marichinam, the secondary creators. Secondary, Prajapati is the main creator. The secondary creators, anybody who is propitiating progeny. Any kind of creatures. Which happens to be human beings, animals, birds, any creatures which they are the secondary creators. See, even the secondary creators can raise to that level by cognizing that consciousness within. Marichinam padam icchanti vedasaha. Yo devebhya atapati, yo devanaam purohitaha, purvo yo devebhyo jataha, namo ruchaya brahmaye. That which the Richa, the Rig Vedas proclaim, worship through different rituals and offerings. That which is yo devebhya atapati, yo devanam purohitaha. Yo devanam purohitaha, of these gods of the heavens, the one who is purahitaha. Purohitaha doesn't actually here mean the priest. The priest of the devas happens to be Brihaspati. We are not talking of Brihaspati here. The one who is the absolute hita, even to the gods. Purohitaha. Purvo yo devebhyo jataha. Why is he called Purohitaha? Because he is the firstborn, born before, or who existed before the birth of these gods. So it becomes his responsibility to do hita for them. Meaning, the one who does hita for those gods, wouldn't he do hita to us? Think. Why would he pick on us and then say, you rotten fellow, you have to get it, and punish us? We punish ourselves. He wants to save us out of this cycle of getting punished unnecessarily, so regularly. Devanam purohitaha namo ruchaya brahmaye. Rucham brahmam janayantaha deva agre tadabruvan yastvaivam brahmano vidyat tasya deva asanvashe. In the beginning of this creation, the gods, deva, manifesting, through the gods, what was manifesting was that Supreme, addressed that Supreme, when they came in direct cognition of that Supreme, said, the one who cognizes you thus, meaning as an immediate experience of the self, alone shall experience that Supreme. Tasya deva asanvashe. Meaning that the one who raises to that kind of a sattvic level is called the Brahmana here. Yastvaivam Brahmano vidyat tasya deva asanvashe. And whom did they realize? Hrischate lakshmischa patnyo ahoratre parshve nakshatrani rupam ashvino vyatam ishtam manishana amum manishana sarvam manishana. Ishtam manishana amum manishana sarvam manishana. That which gives us the self-knowledge Please bless that knowledge to us. Ishtam Manishana. May we be blessed with all the Ishta. Ishta like Chaturvida Phala Siddhyartham. Lot of desires, lot of things that we want. Ishta. May you bless us with that. At the end, it says, we pray unto you, knowing that praying unto you, you will anyway bless us with all these things. It is a beautiful twist, the way Vedic mantras use it. It is not that we are asking you to give us. By praying unto you, Ishta is already taken care of. Amum Manishana. Anything that we deserve, you anyway bless us to give us that in plenty. Amum Manishana. Sarvam Manishana. Sarvam Manishana. You are the person who takes care. So you are the one who are taking care of everything. With that confidence, I bow down unto you, I prostrate unto you. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. As per the tradition, the Guru Dakshina covers are there. You can come and offer it here and partake with the Yajna Prasada.